Hello YouTube and Miss Gilmore, who will be grading this assignment. Today I'm going to cook for you a Shrimp Alfredo recipe that my mom taught me how to make. Okay, so to start off with on this recipe, we have our ingredients laid out here that you will need. And you're going to need milk of any kind of milk you want. Noodles, we chose regular spaghetti noodles. Butter. And sea salt. Well, you don't have to use sea salt, but that's what we use. Garlic salt, pepper, cheese, Parmesan or shredded cheese, and then of course your shrimp. For this recipe, you're going to need 3 different pans, which we are going to pull out here now. This is the one we like to use for our pasta because it's deep and you can cook a lot of noodles in it. And then this one here is going to be for the actual Alfredo sauce. It's a lot smaller because you're not going to need as much sauce as noodles. And then this one here, which is a frying pan for your shrimp. Now that we know all the ingredients you need, we're going to move on to cooking the actual meal. First off, we're going to start cooking our shrimp because it takes a lot longer than the noodles and the sauce. Okay, so what you need to do is open your shrimp. We have here peeled shrimp, so you don't have to take off the tails like you would normally. Let's see if I can open this here. It's frozen because it just came out of the freezer, so you want to soak it in some hot water to defrost them a little bit before you start cooking. So that's what we're going to do now. Some hot water in this nice little Tupperware pan that we have. And it's going to sit for a little bit. And we like to mix them up to make sure they're not sticking together. That's what I'm going to do now. It didn't take that long because we didn't have it in our freezer. So we can basically just start cooking it now. So we're going to drain this in our nice strainer here. And we are going to put it in the pan. Okay, after you have drained your shrimp, you should turn on your stove to, we like to do like 2 notches below high because I feel like that's what's best and doesn't burn it. Now you are going to take your butter and do the 2 to 3 tablespoons and put it in there until it melts. Now that our butter has melted, we're going to put in our shrimp. And a helpful hint is that oil takes less time to cook your shrimp. So if you have that around your kitchen, I would suggest using that instead of butter. And now we're going to go here and find a spatula. So we're going to get these so they mostly fill the pan. Alright, and then we're just going to let that sit for a few minutes because it'll take a while for them to start cooking. And now we are going to move on to the noodles and sauce. I like to get the noodles started, so we're going to fill this nice pan here up with water. Alright, now we have our water. We're going to take our noodles, and depending on how many people will be eating with you, you decide how many noodles you want, basically. We plan to have 4 people eating this meal, so I'm going to use about half of this box because we like to eat this stuff. So now that we have that done, we will turn on our stove. Probably around the same as what we did for the shrimp, which is 2 notches below high on our stove. Now we're going to move on to starting the actual sauce. To start with your sauce, my mom gave me this lovely recipe. I actually have written here very badly. And you need 1 stick of butter, And you're going to let that melt all the way down. And then a ingredient that I actually left off in the beginning is flour. You're going to need a half a cup of flour. I'm actually going to turn this one on high because it takes a lot longer to cook. And if you have it hotter, it works better. Alright, so after you have let your butter melt down all the way, you are going to add a half a cup of flour to your butter. And just pour it in gradually. And then, so we'll stir this up until it turns into a paste-like mixture. At this point, you want to add your milk. And depending on how much sauce you like or prefer, you're just going to pour in as much milk as to keep going until you feel like people won't eat anymore. Alright, so we're going to stop it there. And now this is the really obnoxious part, because you have to stand here and stir this until it starts to thicken, which could take who knows how long. Normally it takes about 4 to 5 minutes, maybe. And then we're going to stir this up. Just keep stirring. We're going to check on our shrimp over here, see how it's doing. Which it's still kind of not doing much because of the water that came off of it when we poured it in. So it's just still over here cooking and chilling. Same with our noodles, they're just chilling. Okay, now you see here that it has started to thick up, and you'll tell by because it's dropping a lot slower than like normal just milk would. So now what you want to do is you can step away for a few minutes, they won't burn too badly, hopefully. And get the rest of your ingredients, basically. And this is where I like to have a little fun, because nobody really measures anymore, except for the flour. And you're going to start pouring your spices in here. Get a little salt, as much as you want, depending if you're a salt person. Might turn the heat down a little bit, because it's starting to bubble pretty fast. And next we can put in some pepper. As much as you want again. I love a lot of pepper, so we're going to put a little bit. Actually, a lot of it. And then the next, my mom loves this stuff here, garlic sauce. That we grew up with. And just pour a whole bunch of this in until you feel like your breath would stink really badly after eating this. And then after you do that, stir it up a little bit. Make sure it gets all the way through. We're going to put our cheeses. This is to make it taste basically more than just flour and milk. Adds a little flavor to it. So we'll start with our Velveeta. We don't have very much of this left because I cooked this the other day because it's delicious. So we're just basically going to pour all of this in. I'm not exactly sure how much this is, but I would suggest probably half a cup to a cup of cheese, depending on how much you love cheese. Just stir all this in, it'll melt down eventually. Just keep stirring it. And then my favorite part of all this meal is tasting this stuff to see what you might need to add. If you need more salt or pepper or cheese. So we'll get a lovely spoon here. Dip it in a little bit. Blow on it so you don't burn yourself. That's good stuff. So I feel like we need a little bit more cheese. So we have here the Parmesan cheese. My mom likes to add this stuff in if she doesn't have enough cheese, so which happened to me today. So that's what we're going to do. Just pour in a little bit. It doesn't matter really, however much you want. And then just stir it in. And it'll melt eventually too. And a side note is that the noodles and shrimp are just still cooking away. And now we get to taste it again. Because this is my house, I'm going to use the same spoon. But if you're cooking for strangers, you might not want to do that. very, very good. I'm a pretty good cook. At least at Shrimp Alfredo. That's pretty much all I can cook. Anyways. So, this took a shorter amount of time than I thought, surprisingly. So this is basically done. You've actually made your sauce for your Shrimp Alfredo recipe. So since it took a short amount of time, we're just going to let it sit here, turn the temperature down, basically low, almost off, and just let it sit. And now we're going to work on our shrimp, trying to get it to cook a little faster. This is why I would suggest using oil, because the butter takes forever. And your shrimp just sits here. Oh, see here? Do you hear the shrimp? It's cooking. Yes, it is. Alright. So now that we've anchored the shrimp, we keep stirring it. I'm clever. Okay, you can hear our shrimp over here. It's snapping like crazy. And that scares me a lot of the time. So if you're scared like me and you don't want to stir this yourself, you can ask your husband or whoever is conveniently around. Mine's out there. But I'm just going to do this myself because it's my assignment. So I should probably. And now that you see here, it's starting to stick and brown up. So that's a good sign because that means it's cooking. Now we're going to check and see if our noodles are done. And my lovely camera lady told me a trick that if you get a noodle, when you find one, and throw it against your cabinet and it sticks, that means your noodles are done, which is a very awesome trick. So we're going to try it. Alright, so I make sure the water's off, which is what she suggested. And, ready? Here we go. And it's stuck! So now we know our noodles are done. So we're going to take them off, turn off the heater, that way we'll burn the house down. And we're going to get our strainer again, pour them in. Take it, shake it out, get all the water out of there. Alright, pour it back in your pot. So now that we have our noodles done, we're going to start combining ingredients. And we checked on our shrimp a few minutes ago and it's the brown that we like. So we're good with our shrimp after you get it as brown as you want it, burnt as you want it, whatever you want with it. And the shrimp, I would say it takes about 10 to 15 minutes in all to cook. So that's good news. That's not too long. And the sauce took about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, maybe. And the noodles probably around the same as the shrimp, 10 minutes maybe. So we're going to pour it all in because we like to mix it up. But if you don't want to mix it up, someone doesn't like shrimp, you don't have to. So we're going to pour our sauce in, which looked awesome. And just start mixing it up until you get it all around the noodles as good as you can. Alright, good enough. So now we're going to take our shrimp over here and start scooping it in. Alright. Now we mix it up again. Okay, so now that we mixed everything in, we can start serving it. So now we have here, we've served out our plates to my lovely participants, my husband, and my best friend Haley, who was the camera lady, by the way. And, do you guys like it? Is it good? Oh, okay. Thumbs up. They're just too happy to say words. So now that I've served my friends, I'm going to eat my own bite. Here we go. Thank you for cooking with me. I hope you enjoy your first recipe of Shrimp Alfredo.